Because he texted me this morning, won't know where we're at, so he knows exactly the chapter we're on in, because I texted him back. Because it's been 2 or 3 weeks since we've been here.
And I've got my question for you.
You got a question? Well, I was going to ask you the questions.
No, I made a list. Thank you.
You know that? You know, the teacher is supposed to get to ask the questions, not the students. You know, the students are supposed to sit there and say, yes, sir, no, sir, and stuff like that, you know.
Say what? Never happened in my class.
Actually, we were down about the 5th verse, I think, where we're at. We may go back and touch on the first few verses where Jesus healed a man who had leprosy. And when we talked about the first thing it comes to mind that Jesus did that you're not supposed to do if you come in contact with the person who has leprosy, and that is touch him. But he touched him and he was healed. And of course, Jesus lived and died under the old law, and he sent the leprous man who had been cleansed, sent him to the priest. If you go back and study the old law, a person who was declared to have leprosy, and then it appeared it was not, or it cleaned itself up or whatever, they had to go and show themselves to the priest. The priest would say yes or no whether they were healed or not.
Actually, Numbers 10 tells us that if you had leprosy, even that if you were cleansed or anything like that, you had to be anointed or cleansed with the ashes of red heifer.
Yeah, so see, it was quite the priest had to take care of it all. It had to be. You couldn't just go back to town and say, well, I'm clean today. Well, you got to go. The priest had to certify it and do some ceremonies.
For leprosy, and if you came in contact with a dead body.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was something else that dropped.
Oh, there's all, just, you know, if you think that being a Christian and all the rules that Jesus and the apostles laid down, you think they're difficult, just go back and read the old law. And you'll see how difficult some of these things were for them to do. And many of the things that people say are okay today, in that day and time, they took you outside of town and throw big rocks at you till you was dead. Simple as that. Verse 5. And when Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, imploring him and saying, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, fearfully tormented. Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion said, Lord, I am not worthy for you to come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority with soldiers under me, and I say to this one, go, and he goes, and another, come, and he comes, and to my slave, do this, and he does it. Now when Jesus heard this, he marveled and said to those who were following, truly I say to you, I have not found such great faith with anyone in Israel. I say to you that many will come from the east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. It continues. I'd have to turn the page. We'll stop right there. Let's look at this. The centurion was what kind of person? Besides being a Roman. And he would be a Gentile. He has authority over 100 men. He has authority over anybody in town that's not a Roman citizen. The Jews despised Roman soldiers because they had the authority and they used it. But yet here was a man who had the authority not only over the Jews but over 100 men. He was kind of like a captain or a sergeant, or he had some authority, and yet here he was coming humbly to a Jew, Jesus, and asking him to heal his servant. And Jesus said, I'll just go to your house. no, said, I'm not worthy for that. See, the centurion is a very humble man. He said, I'm not worthy. He said, I'm a man under authority. He said, with authority, I can say this guy go and he goes, this guy come and he comes. I can talk to my servants or slaves, depending on which translation you read, and do this and they do it. All you got to do is say the word. Jesus tells him, said, I haven't found this much faith in anybody in Israel. But he says, I say to you that many will come from the east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. In other words, people's going to come from all other races to join Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom. The Jewish people, by and large, rejected Christ. They rejected the New Deal, but the Gentiles didn't.
Or the old way, they was the only chosen ones.
Yeah, they thought that they would, because that was a general thought among the Jews, is that if they could trace their ancestry back to Abraham, that made them all right. That automatically made them one of God's chosen people, and so no matter what kind of guy I am, I'm all right. Continuing the thought, in verse 12 he says, but the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said to the centurion, go, it shall be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed that very moment. So the Gentiles are going to sit with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the sons of the kingdom. The Jewish people would be cast into outer darkness, he says. There'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This weeping and gnashing of teeth is mentioned several times in the scriptures as a description of great torment. Great torment. Verse 14. When Jesus came into Peter's home, he saw his mother-in-law lying sick in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and waited on him. When evening came, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with the word, and healed all who were ill. This was to fulfill what was spoken through Isaiah the prophet. He himself took our infirmities and carried away our diseases. So Matthew describes, the healing of Peter's mother-in-law, and he also said that, just by speaking it, people were clean, were cured. Just by simply saying it, they were cured. What sticks out in your mind about Peter's mother-in-law? Besides the fact that she had a fever and it was cured, and she just got right up and served them.
Hey, brother.
Yes, sir.
It points out that Peter was married.
Peter was married, yes.
And they, according to the rules, he couldn't be married if people claimed that he was a pope.
Now, okay, that's what I'm going to get at. Yeah. The feeling among some is that Peter was the first pope, but then they say popes can't have a wife. Doesn't say Peter had a wife, but it said he had a mother-in-law, doesn't it? Last time I checked, you just can't get a mother-in-law without getting a wife. It's just automatic.
His father-in-law is dead.
Huh?
His father-in-law is dead.
You think his father-in-law is dead?
That's the reason his mother-in-law would be living there.
Okay. Good point.
1 Corinthians 9, Paul thought he would have a wife.
Do what now?
1 Corinthians 9, Paul thought he had a wife.
Yeah, Paul said he had every right to lead about a wife. Is that the way it puts it?
Something like that.
Just like Peter. So here he does, Matthew doesn't mention Peter's wife, but he mentions the mother-in-law.
Peter's also represented an elder.
Yeah, he classifies himself as an elder, and that's one of the qualifications of being an elder is you have to gotta have a wife. But you notice that it says here about the people who were ill, they didn't get to like today, why you go to the doctor and you got the flu or whatever, pick out whatever illness you want to have, and they give you a prescription for some pills, and you said you take these pills once or twice or whatever many times a day, and sure enough, about 2 or 3 weeks, you probably get feeling better. Some of the pills they advertise on TV, if you better cure you because all the side effects is worse than what you got, But he just spoke it and it was immediate. It was immediate. It's like the centurion's servant. He was healed right then. And that was long distance. He was healed right then.
Virgil,
Yes.
he didn't speak it to her, he touched her.
To her, but others he spoke it though. Okay, yeah, he touched her, and then verse 16 says he cast out the spirits with a word. He just spoke it, and then the evil spirits left. Yeah, but you're right. He did touch her. Yeah. Verse 18, now when Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to depart to the other side of the sea. Then the scribe came and said to him, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. Jesus said to him, the foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Another disciple said to him, Lord, permit me first to go and bury my Father. But Jesus said to him, follow me and allow the dead to bury their own dead. That sounds kind of rough, don't it?
Now, will you explain that, please?
I was afraid you were going to ask something like that.
That's my question.
That's supposed to be my question for you, I think.
I asked first.
Well, the commentary questions whether the fellow was already dead or not. Perhaps the question was, because that was the law, you're supposed to take care of your parents. Let me take care of my father, and whenever he dies and we get all this took care of, then I'll come for you. In other words, Jesus said, let somebody else take care of it. Jesus his teaching and was more important than burying somebody. I think is what he was trying to get at. Somebody else would take care of it. When he says, let the dead bury their own dead. In other words, those who were unfaithful people, let them take care of it. Does that answer your question, or am I right or am I wrong? Or
I don't know.
now, this is not answered, Leland. You got to.
I don't know if you're right or wrong.
Okay.
I don't know.
But
I don't understand what he's saying. I'm not sure I understand what he's saying.
that's the thing is it seems pretty harsh, but I think Jesus is trying to point out the important. What he is saying is so much more important than the physical things. Maybe that's just the thing he's trying to get across.
The general rule was the fact that, at least at this point, there were very few Gentile believers And so, in the culture of the Gentiles, you know, that's really what we're talking about here. And from that standpoint, there's the realization that not very many of them believe in Christ, and so they're continuing to be separated from God, and that's been a general assessment of that is the fact that he was just saying that let the people who are dead, as far as God is concerned anyway, bury their own dead.
Let the non-believers bury the dead, and since you believe, you come follow me.
Right.
Right?
You think this guy is a Gentile?
Seems like it.
I'm not sure about that part, but I think he's hit on though, because so many of the Jews even didn't believe in Christ. Let the non-believers take care of the dead person, and you come follow me. But he didn't.
Virgil, do you think maybe just Jesus knew this man's heart? And
That part's true. Yes, he knew his heart. Yes.
so he didn't want him to come, or he wasn't ready to come, or?
I think perhaps he was just testing him. You know, just how dedicated are you? You know, because we find out that you had to be very dedicated at this time to follow Jesus constantly. And we're just like the apostles, the disciples who became apostles. They left their livelihoods. They just left everything and just followed Jesus. In fact, Jesus asked them once, "Are you going to leave me now?" And he said, "Where can we go? We've forsaken all. We've given up everything we had to follow you." And that's what Jesus was asking.
The rich young ruler, you know.
Yes.
Jesus would have took him, but it was too much. He had to give up too much.
But he tested him. Said, "Go give everything you away," because he knew his heart. You know,
Right.
he liked those riches. Well, give all your stuff away. Come follow me. He said he went away sorrowful because he had a lot of stuff.
He knew that stuff would stand between him and
Yeah, he knew that stuff was standing. Perhaps he knew that this guy's loyalty to his family was more than what his loyalty was to Christ, and he's testing him. Let them people take care of burying somebody. You come follow me.
Virgil?
Yes.
To answer Leland's question, this guy's a Roman centurion, and they're in Capernaum. So those identifying marks would indicate that he's probably Gentile.
Okay.
And you know, Virgil, later in the scriptures, he tells us too, if we're not willing to give up mother, father, brother, sister, whatever, you know, to follow him.
Yeah.
If it's necessary that we, even today, if it's necessary that we forsake our family to follow him, that's what we have to do.
Okay.
Does it say in another account that he's a Roman?
Do what now?
Does it say in another account that he's a Roman centurion?
I think it's displayed pretty well assumed that he is, because he is a centurion, because the Jews, he'd be a Gentile anyway, but because the Jews, basically, they didn't volunteer for the government, you know, for the army.
Where are you? Are we in Matthew 8?
Yeah. The caption over verse 5 says a Roman centurion demonstrates faith. So there, by them being in Capernaum, like I say, Bob, this would be a Gentile, basically a Gentile town to start out with.
Right, but are we not talking about verses 18 and following?
Yes, but he hadn't left yet, has he?
Right, but we're talking about verse 21, and other disciples said
Yeah.
to him.
They
So
gone
this is
to
a different
Peter's
disciple.
house.
Yeah, they went to Peter's house, you're right.
In verse 19, it says this man was a scribe, so he would be a Jew.
Yours says he was a scribe? Okay, yeah. He would have been a Jew then.
So But then in verse 21, it says another descendant.
Yeah, I know, yeah, 21, it's a whole different guy.
Whole different guy.
So we don't really know what this,
Who he is.
we don't know who this guy is or what he is.
Well, is it the lady that touches the hem of his garment chastised because she's a Gentile? And she makes a statement, even the dogs get to eat the crumbs?
I'm not sure if that's the lady that touched his garment or the lady that just asked to be healed. I have to think about that a minute. You remember calling?
I don't remember.
I'll have to think about that one, Leland.
I'm leaning towards the one that has to be healed, but I'm not for sure.
Maybe she asked for him to heal somebody else. I'm not.
I think the woman that touched his hem wasn't the same woman.
I think that's a different
Because
woman, yeah.
She said.
'Cause she was healed.
He
She
said,
was
"You
healed.
have so much faith."
Yeah. The woman who touched his garment was the same lady who had a hemorrhage
Yes, hemorrhage.
of some sort.
Sally says chapter 15, verse 26.
Chapter 15, verse 26, okay. Yeah, this is a whole different deal. Let's start in verse 21. Jesus went away from there and withdrew into the district of Tyre and Sidon. And a Canaanite woman from that region came out and began to cry out, saying, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is cruelly demon-possessed." He did not answer her a word, and his disciples came and implored him, saying, "Send her away, because she keeps shouting at us." But he answered and said, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and began to bow down before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered and said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." But she said, "Yes, Lord, but even the dogs feed on the crumbs which fall from their master's table." Then Jesus said to her, "O woman, your faith is great. It shall be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed at once. So
You know, and very similar to the centurion.
okay, yeah.
This lady's faith, and I apologize for having the wrong lady,
Okay, yeah.
but here it's a non-Jew, and Jesus starts off by saying, "Leave me alone."
Yeah.
He doesn't approach this guy from that standpoint.
No, you're right.
He says, "Let the dead take care of the dead," which is the part I don't understand.
Yeah, okay.
You probably would have been arrested if it had been cruel to the centurion. I mean, that's probably what it was. They were pretty cruel.
That's why I say that the Jews despise the Romans and the centurions, because the centurions were very cruel. In fact, some studies, when Jesus said if somebody compels you to go a mile, go with him 2 miles. This was customary, they claim, for the Roman soldiers, that they had quite a bit of stuff to carry, and they could just run across anybody and say, "Here, you carry my stuff for me." And they hated that part, because somebody had to carry their stuff for them.
Hey, Wagner,
Yes, sir.
when he says, "Let the dead bury the dead," he's talking about the dead in Christ, that just no way can they believe in Christ, so they're dead.
Okay.
That way.
Okay.
And so it's no use for them to follow him, so let the man,
That's what I think he's talking about. Let the non-believers, let them take care of the physical things, and you come follow me and learn about the spiritual things. That's what I think he's trying to tell him, Leland. But I'm not. I can't say definitely that's what it is.
Well, it says you're dead in your sins if you haven't confessed Christ and been baptized.
Okay. Yeah.
So, that's probably what it means.
Okay. Next week is, March the 5th, I think. Something close to that. And we'll start there about, verse 23 where it says Jesus calms the storm.